Farmer. Salah. Oh, wow. Huge shot. It's given straight away. Yet again fails.
Hello and welcome to the Double Podcast. I'm your co-host Andrew, and I'm joined alongside my usual um, partner, my fellow co-host Marissa. Welcome back to the show, Miss Chandler.
Thank you for having me.
Uh, 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 uh. Um, I'll save that for later. I don't want to start. I don't want to start picking at you just yet. So I'll save that for later. But tonight will be a show of banter. I expect or I anticipate because I have a lot of ammunition to throw your way. Actually, you know what?
I don't know what amnesia you got. Come with
I'll
though.
save it for the next episode because my team ain't play yet. So let me not start throwing things in the atmosphere and they get a rude awakening. They're always gonna be
Especially
cautious.
when I seem to remember when we did our World Cup preview show. I
Hmm.
remember I clearly stated that I felt Germany and Nagelsmann were under pressure to deliver.
Hmm.
I can't remember if you agreed or not, but I know why I said what I said. So
Uh, I don't think I agreed because I think I said that I didn't see it the same way as you because I felt as though the European Championship 2 years ago, I felt I saw good signs from you guys that you guys were heading or trending in the right direction. So I wasn't putting you on pressure to win, but I was there. Right? You know, for me, it's just about Germany showcasing that they've continued to progress. And I've said that I think this tournament will come a bit too soon, but maybe next World Cup 4 years down the line, I think y'all be ready to potentially be looked at again as challengers. But nevertheless, let's get started. Our agenda for teams that have big expectations before ball was kicked and have made a far too early exit. Then we'll be looking at whether or not the performance of some lesser nations or smaller countries would have vindicated the expansion of the tournament before finally reviewing the last 8 games that have already been confirmed or whatever or what's not. So going back to Germany, your team. So tell me about Germany. Tell me, yeah, I'll give you the first toss at this.
I think anybody that saw my WhatsApp statuses last week Monday um are well aware of my thoughts, including yourself. Um I felt to all right, let me not get to the Paraguay game. I was massively disappointed by the Ecuador game. Yeah. Um I thought we started the game well. We picked a strong side, even though we knew we were already confirmed for the round of 32. We already knew we were going to totally agree everything. So it was good intent initially. I felt like I know Ecuador had something to play for because I believe they had to win to have a shot of going through. But it was still a good test. Your next game is a knockout game with everything on the line. So I was a bit disappointed. I don't know. It just feels like I never got carried away by the Curacao result. I mean, it's Curacao, no disrespect, but you expect Germany to dispatch of Curacao. But the performances, some of the players, I feel like a player like I don't want to single out any specific player because I believe it's a team thing. I think Leroy Sané, very disappointing tournament for me. I don't think he's looked the same player. Granted, I don't watch Turkish football, but the little I have seen him since he left City, because he left City and went, he didn't
Bayern
go to
Munich.
Galatasaray immediately. He
Bayern.
went right. Um, Flattered to deceive for me a bit at Bayern. He doesn't look like the same player, the dynamic player that I was so impressed with when he was at City. Um, I like Manuel Neuer. I'm a fan of Manuel Neuer. He's been a great servant. I wasn't quite sure his inclusion in squad was a great idea to begin with. I wouldn't necessarily say he was at fault for any of the goals, although I think he did have some dubious Neuer moments. But again, I wasn't quite sure about that. I know we lost the centre back whose name I could never pronounce properly, and that was a big. Thank you. That was a pretty big blow, but it shouldn't have derailed. I mean, you got Antonio Rudiger as a very capable replacement. Havertz scored a couple goals, but I felt he had a couple chances that he should have put away, but it's typical Havertz, score 1 in 10 chances. Undav was good off the bench. Wasn't quite sure I would have started him because I think you need to have that good 12 man, to be honest. But I don't know. It just feels like it was just so disappointing, Andrew, to finally get the group stage. I spoke about this on the previous show. You've had 2 immensely disappointing World Cups since you won in 2014. You finally got out the group stage, and then you perform like that. Lackluster, no intensity. I mean, to be honest, I feel like the Jonathan Tah goal being ruled out was a bit harsh. I think it was a soft foul, but the fact that I say it's a soft foul, I am implying that it's a foul. I know Klopp had some words about that. I think he said what Arsenal scored 60% of their goals like that or something, and then they wouldn't have been Premier League champions if they had been disallowed. Fair enough, but did you really need 120 minutes and penalties to beat Paraguay? No. Let me caveat that by France only won 1-0 against them yesterday via penalty, but I didn't watch that game, but from all reports, Paraguay were very aggressive, didn't really come to play football. Saw some comments from players, also saw some comments on social media about the game. So they're a very dogged team. They're not going to give you a lot, and that's fair, but how many chances? I cannot look back. You could correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I could be still blinded by emotions, but I cannot look back at that Paraguay game and think about any clear-cut opportunities that we missed. It didn't feel like we were creating much. Verts for me felt anonymous in this tournament. That's not a dig. That's just how I see it. I think most of our attackers, with the exception of Undav coming off the bench, I'm laughing. With the exception of Undav coming off the bench, and then obviously we had the 7-1 blitz against Curacao. To me, our attack didn't look dynamic. And maybe it's harsh of me to compare it to like a France who look absolutely awesome going forward. But I remember I had a conversation with you this week about how this tournament, you really see the importance of having world-class attackers. Somebody that can change a game for you at the drop of a hat. And Germany doesn't have that. We have decent players. But when you look at that forward line especially, it's like, and then don't get me started on the penalties. Like, we are known as a penalty side. Like, what is with certain players, rumored, allegedly, choosing not to take penalties? Senior players. So I don't know, it's just massively disappointing. I can't even say that I am shocked because, as I said, people wanted to brush off the Ecuador result, but I didn't think that was a great way to go into the round of 32. And then it kind of showed with a really lackluster, lack of energy performance. I was really disappointed, to be honest.
Okay. I take on board everything you said. What I would say, because I try to be, as succinct as possible. Like I said, I felt as though I saw good signs in terms of how you guys played in the last European Championship. I felt as though this tournament could have been used as another building block. What I was disappointed in, from a German perspective, would have been Julian Nagelsmann's lack of innovation, tactical flexibility when games were going the wrong direction. I actually felt that going back to the Ivory Coast performance, I actually felt that Ivory Coast kind of let you guys off the hook with two lapses in concentration, which allowed you guys to end up with the 3 points in the first place. The Ecuador game,
And they also missed a key before we scored the winner. They also missed a very, very big chance as well. So
right? But ultimately, I didn't think you all looked that good against Ivory Coast, even though you all won. I felt as though that was a tight game. I felt as though maybe a draw would have been a fair result, but got 3 points, fair enough. And move on to Ecuador. Like you said, in tournament football, you want to go, you want to remain unbeaten at least. You know, you want that winning feeling, even though the game was kind of anticlimactic because we already know that you guys had already progressed. So even though you all lost to Ecuador or what, no, I tried to look at it as well. Already advanced to the group, made a few changes. Yeah, I would like the better performance. Yeah, I would like more of your French players, so to speak, to state their claim to getting the starting 11 for the next game. But hopefully you don't mean anything. And I don't think it meant anything really. But the Paraguay game, for me, I thought Nagelsmann got his tactics wrong. even the equalizer that you guys scored, I felt that was a fortunate bit of luck because for me, Paraguay played in a very, very low block. And you guys were crossing the ball from deep, just these aimless crosses, and you got a bit of fortune with it. Kai Havertz get up to the corner and one end up in the far corner. But I didn't see that as a real serious avenue for creating chances or scoring goals. I thought that was a bit of fortune, and there was never an adaptation. If you're playing against a low block, you can't go over the team because the set too deep, so you got to go wrong. People like Leroy Sané, for example, I guess you all kind of lack pace in the way here is because you're not going to get from Burks. Havertz is not really pacey. Undav wasn't really using his pace, that often to me. And Sané seems to be, like you said, the one player who kind of disappointed because he seemed to lack the kind of edge that he once had that would have enabled him to beat a player 1v1 and get it by the cap out the ball, which is kind of what you need against those sort of sides. So I thought the tactical setup was wrong. However, saying that, we're still in the game in that time. Like you said, Germany historically are penalty sides. So if the rumors are true and players were refusing or reluctant to take penalties, then that obviously tells us that the mentality or the mindset of the group was not right. Right? Like you said, senior players, which is disappointing. So it's a disappointing way to go for Germany. Definitely disappointment. And yeah, because although I didn't think that you would win the tournament, I had you to get to at least the quarterfinal stage, especially based on the brackets. But actually, no, not quarterfinal stage, probably last 16, because you would have played France.
yeah,
So
because
maybe
we would
last
have
16.
got France.
Yeah, based on the brackets.
They're in the shame to get out of France. Of
But
course
yeah, I
not.
expect a lot more. But the way you all played the Paraguay game, it got me thinking that even had you all gone past Paraguay, would we still be talking about a disappointing performance? Because getting to certain stages is one thing, but you're still going to be kind of realistic and understand that, well, the performance was a good. Like, for instance, England got the
Yeah.
final of the last European Championship, but in many quarters, we see that as not really anything because people bemoan the fact that they playing still team or the performance wasn't really good. So there's certain countries that, yeah, you won't win. Yeah, you won't get the latter stages and be a contender, so to speak. But equally important is the performance level. And yeah, so disappointing tournament from Germany, but you guys are about to have a managerial change. So hopefully with that will come a turning
It's
fortune.
already confirmed. Well,
I know.
not by the
More
federation, but it's already
Not by
confirmed.
federation, but more or less, yes. You should thank me because I've been saying for the last. Remember we had one on the show a couple months ago. And you always talk Real Madrid might want Klopp. Yeah, I was like, the only team that I told you, but I said it for the longest time, only team that I think will come back in the match for national team job. So sad, so then.
But I don't want to belabor the Germany point too much because we have a couple other teams to talk about in this segment. But I'm beginning to wonder if the manager is really the problem. We had Hansi Flick and Nagelsmann, two
Right.
highly regarded coaches, Andrew. Like, how have they not been able to get a tune? I know that we had, when we won the World Cup, and we got to the semis as well I think in the Euros before that. We had a golden generation of players. Honestly, Podolski, Ozil, Sami Khedira, like Klose was in the tail end of his career then, but he was still performing. Philip Lam, like a golden generation. It was good that we won with that golden generation. But is it that the players just aren't that great? Maybe that's a question that German fans need to start asking. Because when you look at who's really performing in the Bundesliga, Harry Kane, Michael Olise, Luis Diaz, well, I just call him Bayern Munich players at this point. Well, my point is that real attacking talent, especially, to me, is just not there for Germany anymore. Walter Mada is a decent player, but is he really the answer? Like, I don't know. I just feel like we still have quality in midfield. We still have quality-ish in defense. But to me, that forward area to me is a concern.
All right, I'll say this and then we can get off Germany. So like going back to what you said, when you all won the last World Cup, it was a very, very strong pool of players that you guys had to choose from. In certain respects, yes, the quality is not the same, but I don't think it's that much of a drop off. To be honest, I just think that for some reason or not, the coaches that you mentioned, Hansi Flick, who was a big surprise to me in terms of how he performed, or how his team performed under him, Nagelsmann. I just think that for some reason they weren't able to get a tune of the group. But I don't think it's that. I don't think the German players or the German squad, the players are as bad as the performances might lead us to believe, or might lead you to come to that conclusion. I think you have a lot of what I call ascending players. So I still believe in people like Florian Wirtz. I still believe in Jamal Musiala. I still believe that Kai Havertz in the right system with the right coach that believes in him and lets him flourish can still be a quality player. I think Leroy Sané has shown that he might be a bit long in the tooth. So maybe send one for him. It's still Kimmich. There's still the guy that got injured before the tournament started, Leonard Carl. There's still some players coming through. The left back then that Bayern just signed, I think Bayern just signed him. Wrong, that's his name. He looked promising. Slaughter back. Tal's kind of close to 30, so it'll be interesting to see if he lasts another 4 years. But I still think there's enough there that with the right coach, the right spirit among the group, because if you have players again refusing to take a penalty, that tells me that something about the mindset is a bit wrong. And that's not what we normally associate with Germany. Fear of, whatever doesn't really happen. So yeah. Allegedly, yeah. So I'll leave it there. Any other teams for you that would have disappointed this tournament before ball was kicked?
We'll go. Okay, but before you go, I see that the kickoff between England and Mexico is delayed by at least an hour. Just letting you know.
No problem. I'm on vacation, as you know. So they can play whatever time might be up. Go ahead, though.
No, you said you had one, so you go ahead.
I'll let you go first. I want to see what you said.
I already start with Germany, so you go where I already know what you're gonna say, but you go ahead.
You know what you say? What letter do you think the country begins with?
B.
Of course, Brazil. So let's talk about Brazil.
Neymar has just announced his international retirement, by the way, but we can get into all of that.
He said, okay. So Brazil, within the last hour and a half or so, almost just made their exit from the World Cup. 2-0 defeat to Norway. Actually, right. And let me apologize to Demar Evening because I told Demar that I thought Brazil will grow into tournament. I thought the longer they stayed in, the better they would get. And in fairness, right, I actually thought there were certain parts of their performance tonight that I thought would have been the best I've seen them play through the entire piece. There were little patches, right, little phases of play. Because to me, the game swung at certain points in terms of momentum and who looked more likely to get. But I know it's an embarrassment for Brazil because they've just been eliminated by a side who had not qualified for a World Cup since 1998. And I think we got to the stage, honestly, Marissa, where I think we need to, myself included in some respects, we need to stop looking at Brazil as a country and the historical legacy that they have, the great history, and start looking at the team, squad of players that they have, and understand that in some respects, they're. If you told me that they're a country who were not producing the same level of players that it did 10, 15, 20 years ago, I would say yes, for sure. Um, yeah, they really, really disappointing tournament. I thought about the obviously opening game against Morocco was disappointing. Looked a bit flat, looked a bit off the pace, lucky to get a point. Who else had played? Haiti and Scotland. Scotland were pouring out decider, so they ran away with that. Scotland, and by pouring me, Scotland made a lot of self-induced
Yeah.
mistakes.
Hmm.
Um, then who did they play last round before Norway?
Japan.
Japan. Right, 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 right. And again, the first half wasn't good. The second half was, a bit more like it. But again, so that kind of had me like, okay, the Brunei tournament. I actually expected this game to be a tight game, but I actually expected them to shit it because I said, well, man for man, although Norway has a very, very good attack, I felt like man for man, Brazil probably had the better players in their squad or what's not. But again, you don't take the chances, you pay the price. Had a penalty, saved. Um, I think we kind of see why Carlo probably didn't want to start Endrick or doesn't start Endrick too often or play him too often because he needs to improve that first touch. Let me just leave it there. And then the defensive um, aspects of Brazil. No, there's nothing that Alisson could have done about either goal, in my opinion. But I know Gabriel, I thought Gabriel was caught flat-footed for the header. And from the time the ball was in the air, like I knew it was a goal. I said goal even before Haaland reached the ball. Because it was like, okay, that cross looked delicious. Haaland going for it. Anyway, yeah. Tell me what your thoughts. I've said enough.
Same thing as you. I mean, like we both put Brazil up there as our potential contenders. I think well, let me speak for myself. I looked at that squad and you see talent everywhere. I didn't agree with the João Pedro omission, but I remember when I talked about it with you, you actually made some valid points as to where you could understand it because let me be fair, Cunha has been playing that role and he hasn't had a bad tournament. I do think João Pedro would have been a good option to have though, especially in these games where you needed somebody to come on late. For instance, that Endrick chance. I think João Pedro would have scored that. But anyways, but like you said, man for man, Brazil has let me not say 10 times. Brazil has a better squad than all of the teams that they've played so far. But that's the thing that I really like about international football and World Cups. It's not just about the bunch of individuals. You have to get that bunch of individuals performing as a team. And I think with the exception of that really good first half, I think it was against Haiti. Um, I think Brazil, and yes, they had a good second half against Japan, like you said, but that game still relied on a last minute winner from Martinelli.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. It's not really difficult to understand because I think, like I told you before we came on air, I was looking forward to this game the most, or to the fixture so far because I felt like once Norway hangs in there, Haaland is a man. Who did Norway play before Brazil?
Uh, so the
It's slipping me.
it's slipping me up.
But anyways, in that game, if you remember, you could share. But in that game, I specifically remember Haaland was barely involved. Wait, was it Senegal? No, it wasn't Senegal.
No, it
It
was
was the
Samuel.
African Senegal. I think it was an African team.
It's
Anyways, whatever.
it was
But
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, right? I knew it was an African team. In that game, to me, Haaland was barely involved. But you've seen it so much with City. He doesn't need to be. You give that man a sniff, and Bayern, he's going to score. And I always felt that the longer the game went on, the more likely it was that Norway was going to nick it because of that, because of Erling Haaland. And obviously, you give him the sort of space, like you said, for that second goal. How did you describe it on WhatsApp? A long penalty? Perfect description, because Haaland is a finisher. That man could finish. So for me, Brazil has been disappointed. I thought the Neymar penalty at the end, to me, kind of gave me a window into the soul a bit of that squad.
Mhm.
Because you 2-1 down at the time. You going out the World Cup. But yet you prostrate in front of the goal because when I have words before the pen, get the ball and go back to the center circle and whatever minutes. Reason?
I said that to Sean. Come you watch it down the road. I said that to Sean. I was like, it lay into Summershine. You 2-0 down. You get back a goal. Try to get the ball. You gesticulating in front of the keeper that you said. It was crazy. Also something that I pointed out. Before the tournament started, I heard that the team belonged to Vinicius, but I didn't really see that. Me personally, these big moments. I mean, I don't understand why Bruno Guimaraes is kicking the penalty in the first half, and he's on the pitch.
But yeah, I can hear after the match. Oh, it was decided before. You had a team meeting and you decide, yeah, if we get a penalty in 90 minutes, within 90 minutes, Bruno Guimaraes into that pen. Really? I supposed to believe that? That's utter nonsense for me. Utter nonsense. And most of the times, Andrew, you know that you see these decisions backfire. Most of the time when when the person that isn't the first choice penalty taker steps out and takes a penalty, it almost always backfires. This is a huge game. Why is Bruno Guimaraes taking that penalty?
Correct. But yeah, I was disappointed in that. Again, you add in the World Cup, try to get the ball back in play as fast as possible.
It felt selfish.
Yeah.
Honestly, it felt like it was just about him in that moment. Like I can't deal with that.
And like you said, the longer the game went on, it felt like Norway was scored because the longer the game went on, it became apparent that Gabriel couldn't handle Haaland's movement, as we've grown accustomed to in the Premier League.
I am telling you, that man lives rent free in Gabriel's head.
I just feel a little bad for Alisson Becker, He's been like that, but
you're happy you getting a little rest.
Fair enough.
That's how I think about it when certain teams go.
Fair enough. Well, I think that.
But yeah, I think Brazil disappointed me. I genuinely thought they would have done better. But because my father only watches World Cup football, so he would have seen who Brazil played. No, he wouldn't have seen the Haiti game. He wouldn't have seen the Morocco game. Who was Brazil's third group game? No, he wouldn't see that. So he only saw one Brazil performance, and that was against Japan. And he was like, yeah, he can't see Brazil making it far. I mean, I'd always be hesitant of making judgments based on one game, but he did call it. His casual football self, he did call it. But I personally was disappointed because, like you said, I feel like the individuals that make up that squad is way better than what they've showed in this tournament, to be honest.
Yep. Brazil's strength in terms of talent, Brazil's strength is on the wings. You have Vinicius. I think Rafinha being injured was a big miss for them.
You said who? Sorry.
Rafinha.
Yeah. I mean, but he wasn't really.
He started the first game or second game, and then he got injured. He might have been a big miss.
True. He would have been
based on his club form.
Fair.
I always have concerns. Well, Cunha is a good player to the middle, but like you said, I always have concerns about coming off the bench in a way. I think I
And
still
don't
I
forget
still
what you've
maintain
always said about Brazil.
was that.
Don't forget what you've always said about Brazil. That lack of a true number nine
Yeah.
has always haunted them in the most recent that they've played.
Well, I mean, I you call me a bit of a historian. I've never seen Brazil, and I try to remember if I've ever seen a team. It's possible. Maybe. Well, yeah. I think maybe Spain. Spain might be the closest bet that I've seen win a national tournament before recognized number nine. But Brazil for sure, I can tell you with that every time Brazil won the World Cup, they've had an outstanding number nine. But why was another thing that I thought that they suffer from was the fact that Neymar, as much as you were just critical of him a little bit, with the behavior after scoring a penalty. I always felt he was like taking him into the World Cup. I felt the big blow for them was that he got injured right before because I think that a
Mhm.
fit Neymar makes a huge difference. That
Fair, fair, fair.
just
But
include
to me, that a risk in itself because it's not that he hasn't had his injury concerns.
true.
So yeah, I think it'd be interesting to see if Carlo continues. Because if there's one thing that's been a casualty of these big sites hesitate is that the managers is skedaddle the next day. But yeah. Um my next site, you finished on Brazil, right?
Yes.
Um I was a bit disappointed in the Netherlands. I know they haven't really shown much recently. Um and you did have Ronald Koeman as one of those managers that you had your eye on at the beginning tournament, and I was honestly a bit disappointed. I think he is another manager that I don't think he utilized his talent enough either. Um, Netherlands have some fantastic players, and I don't think that squad was utilized as best as it could have. The game against it was Morocco, right?
Yes.
Um, I think that was a standard round of 32 game for me. I was definitely looking forward to that. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be, but I was a bit surprised. I know Morocco are a good side. They definitely are a good side. I knew it was going to be a tough game, but I still expected, even though if Netherlands would have lost, I still expected them to show a bit more. So yeah, they were a disappointing team for me. And Coleman
Um.
quit, right? Or he get fired.
Yeah. He resigned. He resigned.
Okay.
Um. I thought that the squad that Netherlands had was capable of going, for further in tournament than they eventually went. I watched most of their games, if not all, in the group phase. And the Japan game was a very close game, but we all said Japan was playing a nice brand of football.
Hmm.
Um, the Philippines they beat Tunisia. Cool. They play Morocco, which is a difficult game, but still one that I thought Netherlands could come through. Um, so learn. I was disappointed again with their tactical setup. A lot of this tournament is about tactics, and little tweaks that coaches have been making or personnel changes that that get you over your line, so to speak. And I thought Netherlands, it was a keenly contested game against Morocco. Very, very small margins. They get the break by getting in front with that post goal. But they scored in the 72nd minute. There's still 18 minutes to play of regular time. Plus what every referee is going to add on for the extra time. So give or take, let's say about 25 minutes maximum still to play in the match. That's still important. I did not understand why Ronald Koeman seemed to decide that he wanted to hold on to the 1-0 lead solely and start trying to shut off again. Or try to shut off again. Stop playing football. And just going back and try to sustain the pressure or repel the pressure from Morocco, which eventually told the end. But I mean, those were some bizarre tactics. And then he made some subs into extra time, and he made a lot of subs, and it seemed to make the team's performance a bit more disjointed. So then they struggled to keep the ball. And so to me, as far as I'm concerned, there was only one team that was going to win it extra time, and that was Morocco. But the biggest condemnation that I could Leah Coma's feet is the fact that you kicking penalties, the game heading trending towards the direction, and the players that you subbed on, and you'll bring on Memphis to play, your record goal scorer, a man at noble goals, a man at noble scoring penalties, he should be on the pitch. I mean, that's only one person, but I'm just saying he should have been on the pitch. Gapo would have had a run to his feet pop off. He ain't coming off, but he got to kick a penalty for me. These are things these are decisions that I think come back to haunt
I
people.
agree.
Like Justin Clayburgh, Somerville. I know them to kick the penalties. I never see someone kick a penalty for West Ham or for Leeds before that. You ever saw he kick one for Leeds? But then he come and kick no for. Sorry to be speaking in Beijing, but when he come to kick no for, you know what I'm saying? To play on the bench. The play, honestly, right? My uncle always just say certain men no goal scoring goals. Memphis the players want no goal scoring goals. Gapo for all big criticizing that I gave him last season. Gapo no goal scoring goals. He want goal scorers on the pitch. But Husky have very good penalty. You know? But I just thought it was poor in game management by Coleman, and that's why Netherlands came home early.
Also, like I have the back 3/back 5 formation is not my favorite, but once played well and tactically set up well, it's a decent formation. You start the game with a back 5 that has 4 centre backs. Why? Like you have too much attacking talent in that side to be starting 4 centre backs plus Dumfries in a back 5, and then I don't even think he changed it up that much with his subs. It's just, I don't know. Netherlands has always been a side for me that they got a lot of talent, but it's almost like Belgium. It's just about finding the manager that could really get the most out of that talent. So they've been disappointed to me. Any more for you?
Yeah, there's one more team that I was disappointed in it. Well, I was disappointed in the way they have exited the tournament, and that's Senegal.
That was as well.
Just poor game management.
Very disappointed. Very, very, very disappointed.
Poor game management. Somebody said to me, I think it might have been Dummer. I don't want to misquote him. I think he said to me that Senegal resembled the West Indies team in terms of snatching feet for the victory.
Oh my god!
And he didn't like. My God. I mean, okay, Belgium.
You can't be 2-0 up in the 86th minute and go out. You can't. I'm sorry, not in a World Cup.
Yeah.
Not in a World Cup. When you see these teams, which we can get to in our next segment, dying for each other, defending hard, like going at top teams, even though they may have lesser quality on paper, you are one of the best African sides. Belgium ain't playing the football in this tournament. I'm sorry, they've been disappointing, but I can't even say they've been disappointing. They've been Belgium. They've been Belgium over the last few tournaments. You cannot be losing after being 2-0 up in 86 minutes. I'm sorry.
And as bad as they want to feel for Senegal, you can't really feel bad for them because experience is not an excuse. Because they have enough experience. They've won, well, asterisk because we know what happened, but they've won two of the last 3 AFCONs. So they're a squad that has tournament experience. There are players in that squad who won Champions Leagues. You know, there are players in that squad who, for the most part, are playing in European competition. So they've been exposed to the highest level. So it was just a calamitous end to a game and a very, very atrocious way. One that will long be remembered, but very, very atrocious way to exit a tournament. And that for me, because put them in that teams that have disappointed bracket.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my final one as well. I was a bit disappointed in Ghana too. They offered nothing in their game. But yeah, Senegal for me, hugely disappointed in them, honestly. And I think
Ghana is still up there.
No, Ghana get eliminated. No
But who
shots on target. Who they play? Yeah,
sure
checking.
got it, man. That game play
Colombia.
ready?
Colombia on Friday.
That play ready? I messed up.
Yes,
I'm sorry. I
one
didn't read
nil.
the play.
It was a
That's
it
all
was
right.
a
Yeah,
really late game. It was a late game. I fell asleep.
oh, okay. I completely forgot about that. I
Yeah,
swear that
it
was
was
still my
confirmed
bad.
late.
Okay,
Yeah.
my bad.
Um, I think with the attacking talent they have as well, they could have done better. But I remember you saying as well that when we were talking about not necessarily contenders, but Senegal was a team that we both mentioned that could have gone or had a nice little run, and they disappointing, man, disappointing. Anyway, so let's move on to happier topics. Well,
Mhm.
happier-ish. Um, would you say that the performances of I have lesser in quotation marks because when I say lesser is not a disrespectful term, it's just teams that you don't usually associate or have the pedigree of other teams that don't have the talent or the quality of other teams. Have would you say that their performances have vindicated the expansion of the World Cup, which was something that a few people criticized in the lead up to the tournament?
No, not necessarily. You see, that is a trick question, right? Because when you say A, you go say B. Number
Okay.
one, let me. Um, Norway would normally struggle to qualify for a major tournament because he part out the Milan with a fellow European heavyweight because it
Mhm.
was expanded and it still actually came out of a group of a fellow heavyweight being Italy, but because it was expanded, it meant that Norway had a greater chance because rather than having to play maybe two heavyweights, they only had to play one in the group, and right now they're in a cycle of a promising team emerging, right?
Mhm.
But so as much as we say that the expansion in the tournament is vindicated because of lesser teams, I'm not so sure because let's face it, the teams that are new that have qualified for the World Cup for the most part. I know people will give Bird off audits and push Argentina really close in the couple of nights ago or what's not. But I was yesterday. Um, that was good, cool. But for the most part, teams that are new to the tournament, to me, most of them can play a little block, limited in what they could do. Still see a lot. We still saw a lot of rubbish at this tournament. Let's not be mistaken. um, Scotland, for example, there are teams that really, if somebody show a piece of football, really shouldn't have been there. Um, Even DR Congo come and sit down a little block for most of the games. The same Cape Verde that qualified. I mean, I was surprised that I scored two goals against Argentina because let's face it, in their group, they win the game. They draw 3 games straight. I qualified. Don't forget, because remember Uruguay was a disappointing team from our group that they make it. So
Oh yeah, we never talk about them, but yeah.
if you really study it analytically, I'm not so sure it's a case where it has risen per se, so to speak. I think it's just a like you know things happening at the right time. So certain teams that like Norway, for example, that might be a surprise to those who don't watch football, apart from the World Cup. But to us, it wouldn't be a surprise because we know that Norway has some good players coming through. We can't see, the Kaseko. Uh, yeah. So having said that, um, I think the benefit of it though is you know because I think most countries are better coached,
I just resend that Ancelotti said, but let me let you finish.
better defensive setups. I think
Mhm.
that you have a lot more. I won't say even contested games, but a lot more games where teams have to work a bit harder to find a breakthrough sometimes. You understand?
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
and honestly, and also I think the hydration breaks have played a role too because that changed a lot of directions in certain games because they come at the right time for you or the wrong time for you.
It's
So there are
true.
a lot of
That's
different
a point.
factors. There are a lot of different factors, man. But again, for the most part, I've enjoyed the tournament. I'll say that. I'm still hoping because I saw a comment from the president saying something about potentially getting the 64 teams. I hope that somebody drug Tessie. Dumb me with that idea. I think let me
Great.
stop that for you. Let us stop that for you. I'll call that Wally.
As
I don't.
much as I love my country, I don't think I want to see Barbados on the world stage just yet. So let me not expand it too much more. Let me get
But
myself together.
if it goes to 64 to that Barbados qualify.
Look, you never know what can happen. Anything can happen.
Uh, sure.
Curacao and beat Jamaica to qualify. You never know what can happen.
I watched Jamaica. Congo beat Jamaica, so that meant a lot for Jamaica. Jamaica honestly weren't.
Yeah, I know. Um, I would look at it from more of the romantic side.
Mhm.
You could keep the analytics. That's your job. And I actually agree with you though. You made some very good points as usual when you do your analysis. But let me look at it from the romantic side. I remember when this World Cup started, I was not keen on it at all. I felt like we were gonna have a lot of drab games. And to be fair, we have had a few, but it hasn't been the amount that I expected. For me, I've really enjoyed the spirit of these so-called lesser teams. Cape Verde being the best example. I have enjoyed that even when, let's say, they go up and then they get paid back, they don't sit down and then you think, oh gosh, here the floodgates can open. That's been the nice thing. Like you say, teams have had to work harder. To me, there's a real togetherness and there's a real spirit of these sides to be more than the sum of their parts. And I think I've actually enjoyed it. I have to say, and I guess because my bar was so low, it's easy for it to come up. Um, I don't think it's necessarily vindicated it. Like you say, you know, you still want to, it's the showpiece, it's the ultimate prize in international football, and you still ultimately want to see the best on the world stage. But I mean, like, Norway is the perfect example. Like, without the expansion to 48 teams, would they be in the quarterfinals of the World Cup? Maybe not, but they deserve to be there. So I think it has its benefits and its drawback. I think vindicated is it hasn't been vindicated, but I think it has not been as bad as I have personally expected it to be honest. So that's what I would say about that.
I would agree with your sentiment.
Cool. So before we move on to the next segment, I just saw a quote from Ancelotti. Carlo Ancelotti reveals that Vinicius Jr. was not even in the top 5 penalty takers. You said this was Vinicius' team, right? Okay. We did some
That's what the South American experts were telling me.
Oh, okay. We did some stats, and the best was Rafinha. From the players available, the best was Neymar, then Igor Thiago, then Bruno Guimaraes, then Martinelli. Have I seen Martinelli get a penalty for Arsenal ever?
I have, yeah, I have. Not
He
regularly,
he,
but
he,
yeah,
he did one at PSG in the PSG final.
yeah, he scored. Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool. But I'm sorry, you're trying to convince me that your best player is not in your top 5 penalty takers based on stats. Yeah, I ain't buying it. I'm sorry.
why not? Well, the
No.
thing is, Vinicius would have missed a few penalties this season at club level for Real Madrid. I remember that clearly, if I'm not mistaken. But I was still expecting to get a penalty.
I agree. I agree 100%. Um, but and he added by saying Bruno, in our view, was the best on the pitch. So then my question is, right? Your top 5 penalty takers, only one was on the pitch at a time. What if Bruno Guimaraes, let's say, had been subbed off, Andrew, and none of those top 5 penalty takers was on the pitch? What would have happened then? I'm just very confused. What about Cunha?
Well, yes,
I I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting to me. Ultimately, I wouldn't say that's the reason that they lost, but you do have to analyze these decisions when they happen. It's just a bit odd to me. But hey, I love Carlo, so who am I to question Don Carlo? Anyways, so let's close off by taking an early look ahead to the quarterfinals. We have a few set already. France versus Morocco. That is Thursday. Early call on that one.
that's going to be a very, very tight game. Very, very keenly contested game. I think that will come down to the fine margins, but I will say France will edge it.
Yeah, I agree. Me in full time, or it will go extra time and penalties.
Hmm. The thing is, Rick, I actually think that Morocco might be a better team now than they were 4 years ago.
Mm.
So,
The thing is, right, in that
mhm.
game against Canada yesterday, I felt that the first half they looked a bit tired or lacking of energy. But then second half was a different story.
um, to me, it's almost the old adage. Canada tried to be a bit physical, a bit intense.
Mm.
Um, it's
Obviously, they couldn't keep that
yeah,
up for 90 minutes. So yeah,
they kind of. But see, the important thing is that when you on top as a lesser team and you have a good half like that, you have to at least get one goal to give
have to
yourself something high
capitalize.
water.
Have to
And once the
capitalize.
goal don't
Yeah.
come, yeah, especially the superior technical ability of Morocco players would eventually come through. And then once the first goal, I think it's just almost a procession to the 90th minute. So
Yeah.
yeah.
The second quarterfinal is due to be played on Friday, and that would be the winner of Belgium USA and the winner of Portugal Spain. So if you had to call it, who do you think would play that quarterfinal, and then who are your ultimate winners from that quarterfinal?
Yeah. So I think I have Spain to beat Portugal tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
based on what I see. Um,
Okay.
the USA Belgium game, I think USA will beat Belgium. I really do. I
Especially
have a
after that,
suspicion.
you have a suspicion. Go ahead.
Right. I have a little suspicion that USA will beat Belgium, and I think that Spain will beat USA in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, after that dodgy decision from FIFA, I think Balogun being available for that Belgium game is absolutely critical. I think he's been their best player. Obviously he's scoring goals for them as well. And I have not been impressed by Belgium at all. So I do think that I do think that USA will win. And I do think Spain will ultimately dispatch of them. Although, to be honest, I haven't been super impressed by Spain, but they're getting
Mhm.
the job done. Going into the tournament like we thought Brazil would have done.
Fair.
So obviously the semifinal on Saturday, well, the first quarterfinal on Saturday is Norway versus the winner of Mexico England. So who's gonna win between Mexico and England later tonight at some point? And then who wins that quarterfinal?
Well, remedy piece room for our sub stop. And I think my opinion is pretty clear. I think that England should beat Mexico. Based on what I've seen, I think England have the better players. I think England are the better team. But I think tonight's game that was delayed by over you said, I think that is simply going to come down to England's psychological toughness, their mental
Mm,
fortitude. It's almost like a club game against a hostile away ground, right?
yeah.
And I hope that the big players from England like Harry Kane and Joe Bannon will drag the others along with them.
Along with them.
But
Harry Kane has been excellent.
yeah,
Honestly,
yeah.
it's been fantastic.
So I expect England to get through. It's not going to be easy, but I'm not buying that whole because of their attitude. I mean, physically, it could have an impact in some at some stage of the game. Maybe some players may need to go off at certain points. But I say him. I think if England play to their strengths, that they ultimately have. I honestly I watched like two of Mexico's games in this tournament, and I honestly don't think Mexico is a good side. That trade would say that this is one of the poorest Mexican sides I've seen in my lifetime at a World Cup. So I think I can't beat this side that they don't deserve to go any further. So I think the better perform. But as per usual, the English media won't make it about the fact that it's playing at whatever height above sea level and all sorts of foolishness. It's the same for both teams. I'll say that. Sorry. So I think England will go through. England potentially against Norway again a difficult game. I think they'll have to watch out. So the same perils that the Brazil battling had today with Haaland. I think England need to be wary of them. So it means that whoever plays, whether it be Constant, Gahey, or one of those and John Stones, for example, they need to, Marshall Haaland quite well, need to stop the ball or stop. Sorry, let's just stop. Need to reduce Odegaard's influence on the game. So it means that in the midfield of Declan Rice and Anderson potentially will need to step up. And again, it's going to be a similar situation where I think Saka's supposed to start the basketball game. So hopefully he comes through that and he'll be available for Norway. And then it's about England's attacking players. We think they have good enough attacking players to hurt Norway going the other direction. So I would still pick England to come through against Norway.
Yeah, I pretty much agree. I'm looking forward to that game on Saturday, to be honest. I think it could be a test. I think as good as Kane has been, I don't think the other attackers have been brilliant for you. And I think your defense has looked less than
That's fair.
solid.
It's a fact,
Yeah.
trust me.
Yeah. So everything you say, trying to reduce Odegaard's influence, being wary of Haaland, critical. Because to me, I think Norway have shown a propensity to just try to stay in games, knowing that their big man just needs one chance. So I'm looking forward to it. I think England will go through,
Mhm.
but you never know. You never know. And the final quarterfinal will be between the winner of Switzerland, Colombia, and Argentina, Egypt.
Right. So I imagine Argentina will beat Egypt. I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy that Egypt has made it this far. I'm happy for Mohamed Salah, as you can imagine. But again, Egypt is a team that I think are quite limited going forward.
Yeah.
So I expect that Argentina will, get past them. The other quarterfinal is Switzerland and Colombia. You said
Yeah.
that one should be interesting. That one should be
It
interesting.
should be.
Yeah, I think both
Because
teams
Colombia
have
have been playing. Both teams have been playing relatively well, in my opinion. To be
correct.
honest.
But I'm gonna go for Colombia to get through.
Damn it! I was hoping I was going to say Switzerland because I was going to go Colombia, so I wanted us to be a little bit divergent there. But yeah, I like the look of Colombia attack. Like they were
Yeah.
putting together some really nice moves against Ghana in the little bit of the game that I saw before I fell asleep. But they look really good. They look really good. They look really dynamic up top. So yeah, and I think Argentina Colombia is going to be a fascinating quarterfinal. Yeah, boy. South American teams, yeah, boy. But I still fancy Argentina's quality to come through. Messi has been having a very good tournament, and to me, he's been saving Argentina. So just because of the Messi factor, I will put Argentina to go through from that quarterfinal.
For me, I think that one might be a bit more difficult to call because as much as like the same thing that you said about England's defense looking suspect, I think Argentina's defense is kind of suspect too.
Yeah, they really are.
So I can see players that Colombia have, like Luis Diaz, for example, causing Argentina problems. But I would still say Argentina should shade it, but the all goal.
Yeah, just because they have Messi, just because of that Messi factor, honestly. I wasn't really impressed by any parts of their game versus Cape Verde. I don't think they were good defensively. I think going forward, they weren't that great either. So yeah. So that's it. We're gonna have our quarterfinals sorted by Tuesday. The tournament is really progressing quite quickly. So yeah, it's been a good show. I don't want to announce it quite yet, but we may have a surprise in store on Saturday for the 5 p.m. quarterfinal. So stay tuned to our socials for updates about that. And yeah, thank you for joining us. Obviously, you can follow us at our handles that are going across the bottom of the screen. And yeah, that's it from me.
Yes. And again, thank you for joining us. Again, Marissa, quite engaging discussion. And please, viewers, if you enjoyed this episode, please support us by liking the video, sharing, and subscribing.
Definitely. I would say good luck later, but I actually really don't mean it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. It's all right. It is all right. I know one person, right, who is really begging for me to come out tonight. And that's Chris Cox. You know, he was very confident that he would get past Norway. I told him to exercise caution. He fell on
So
deaf
now he's
ears.
just watching on you.
Yeah, yeah, and the man using Bet365. I know. I hope he lost the clock. It's the teleport. Yeah. Because I told the
Are you
boy.
serious?
Yeah, I tell the boy he would pay money. He would call me before games and ask me what he think, and I would give him advice, on what to bet. So I help him win some money. Helped him win some money, and I ain't seen the cent of it yet, or I probably won't. But I tell the young man, I think Norway. I think I was hoping he would beat Norway, but I thought Norway had the players to maybe give us some trouble. The man tell me, well, Norway can't beat me. Yeah. He's one of those Brazilian fans that like to live in delusion. But nevertheless, So I know right? I knew from the time Brazil got knocked out, his entire World Cup gonna be about England getting knocked out, so he could go outside and he can sit down at the edge of death and just be watching games to see when England coming up.
Angel of death. That's funny. Well, I hope for Chris' sake that it happens tonight, but I don't think it will.
Hopefully not.
He might go wait to at least the next round or semi-finals.
Probably semis.
But the thing is, I don't think y'all playing Argentina is a foregone result.
It's no, it is not. It is not. It is not. If our predictions will hold up and that is the eventual semi-final, I think it's a game that England could win or they could lose. We will see.
Yeah. All right, so that's it from us. So